There's a lot of love going on right now. It's a nice way to start the evening. Hello, everyone. It's really great to see everyone gathered and communing in this space for the next hour or so. My name is Margaret Ryan, and I'm the president of the Bank Street College Alumni Association, also known as BSCAA. I graduated in 2001 from the Early Childhood and Elementary Education program. On behalf of the entire Alumni Association, I would like to welcome you to our annual Alumni Awards Night, and thank you for your continued support. I would like to take the time to briefly share a little more about BSCAA. BSCAA promotes opportunities for alumni and students to stay connected through gatherings, networking events, career and professional development opportunities, and so much more. Look out for the invitations through the Alumni Relations Office and go to LinkedIn and find us under alumni, Bank Street Alumni. And look for invitations through the Alumni Relations Office, both on LinkedIn and your emails. We encourage you to attend our events and networking programs, as well as volunteer or collaborate with BSCAA or colleagues around Bank Street. There are actually a lot of fun opportunities. Now, without further ado, I'd like to welcome to the podium Shale Palakau-Sorensky, GSE 2000, president of Bank Street College of Education, and not so much longer also dean of the college.
Hello, everyone. It's so great to see so many people here and to feel the energy in the room tonight. And I'm just going to jump right in and tell you some stories about what's happening here at Bank Street in this moment. This past Monday, we had our commencement, and I had the pleasure of congratulating 225 of our newest Bank Street alums. This was the most diverse graduating class that we've ever had. Today, 2/3 of Bank Street graduate students are people of color. Yeah, we're proud of that. We are finally mirroring the demographics of New York City for the first time in Bank Street's history. And this is a result of a concerted strategy over the past 10 years to build partnerships with New York City public schools and early childhood centers that have made a Bank Street education more accessible to educators across the city. So contrast that to our broader political environment today, where the federal government has banned words like equity and diversity, motivated by a misguided belief that if you remove the words, you can whitewash history and the lived experiences of our communities. We all have a choice to make. Many organizations have jumped to change the language on their websites or to end programs altogether. At Bank Street, we don't intend to retreat from our values. Bank Street, for more than 100 years, has been working to develop schools and educators who understand that we need to listen to children. We need to spend time learning from them about who they are, what they need, and who they want to become. When we make the time and space to form responsive relationships with children and create contexts that value their full humanity, we open up remarkable opportunities for learning. Let me just share one short story. A few years ago, I spent a morning at the Bank Street Head Start on the Lower East Side. That day, I met a 3-year-old I'll call Reza, who had recently arrived from Bangladesh. He only spoke Bengali. In his first weeks in the US, Reza was scared. He cried constantly and struggled to connect with teachers and other children, none of whom knew Bengali. Then one of his teachers had a creative idea. She went online and learned 2 Bengali nursery songs and sang them with Reza's class the next day. Reza had the chance to help teach his friends the songs, and this led to a breakthrough. On the day I visited, Reza was playful and confident, working intently with another boy, negotiating with hand signals, the process of building an impressive tower out of blocks. By bringing Reza's native language and identity to the center of the classroom community, the teacher, a Bank Street alum, created an entry for him to feel more at home and valued in a new place. And in this small choice, we can begin to see the power of the Bank Street approach, the importance of listening to children, learning to understand their needs, and adjusting in response. This is the kind of amazing work our alumni do day in and day out. This is also the kind of good work that is under attack as the world around us turns upside down. Just 2 weeks ago, the National Science Foundation terminated a grant funding scholarships for 13 New York City math teachers who are currently halfway through their studies in Bank Street's Math Leadership Program. The offending words in this grant, maybe it was equity or anti-racism, but I think they were most worried about the line where we describe preparing teachers to develop a consciousness of their agency and freedom. We are now fundraising to make good on those scholarships, so not one of those students is harmed by this attack. The years ahead are going to be challenging and will demand courage from each of us. The philosopher Maxine Greene once urged us to envision a world as if it could be otherwise. I too reflect on our responsibility to do more than just witness, but to act, to engage, and to change the systems that exist today. Together, we must create new spaces where children and educators can build meaningful relationships and engage the world with courage, curiosity, and compassion. I'm so proud to share the stage tonight with this remarkable group of courageous educators who are doing exactly that. Thank you. And now I have a special introduction to make. So, some of you know I've been acting as dean for the graduate school this whole year, which was a busy year, as you can imagine, because I was also still president. And we did a big national search with many wonderful candidates from across the country, and ultimately selected Dr. Suzanne McCotter for the role, and she's here with us tonight. Suzanne brings extensive leadership and experience and a deep commitment to student-centered learning, social justice, and community engagement. She joins Bank Street from the College of New Jersey, where she most recently is serving as interim provost. Her career began as a middle school teacher and evolved into leadership roles of increasing responsibility and impact. As Dean of the School of Education and later as Dean of the Graduate and Continuing Education at TCNJ, she championed efforts to diversify the teacher workforce. She supported first-generation students and launched the New Jersey Tutoring Corps to address pandemic-related learning challenges. Suzanne also comes with a deep connection to Bank Street's mission. Her father was a 4-5s teacher at the School for Children, and her connection to Bank Street first began in her childhood during regular visits to her father's classroom after school and on weekends. So please join me in welcoming Dr. Suzanne McCotter to share a few words with all of us.
I think the next few years are going to be full of me moving the microphone down as I speak after Shale. Thank you so much for the welcome. I am thrilled to be back at Bank Street. I feel as if Bank Street seeped into my DNA when I was a child, and it has stayed there. It gave me the strength and the understanding to try to integrate progressive education when I was a teacher in schools that were not so progressive. And I'm encouraged by the fact that many of you here tonight are doing the same thing. I suspect that, like me, you had just coming into this building energizes you. It's a feeling of coming home, of seeing people who you haven't seen in a while, and always when you walk into the lobby, it's full of laughing children. So I am so excited. I told Shale I've got a countdown on my phone, and I am so excited to join this community officially in 46 days. And to officially be a part of this community, and I'm very much looking forward to hearing all of the people who are speaking tonight. Thank you for the warm welcome.
Thank you, Shale and Suzanne. Welcome. Now I would like to welcome Misha Paskar to the podium to present the first award.
Thanks, Margaret. Hi, everybody. My name is Misha Paskar, and I am a 2013 alum of the Early Childhood Special and General Education Program, and I serve as a representative at large on the BSCAA Advisory Board. It is my honor to present our first BSCAA Recognition Award. This award is presented annually to one or more Bank Street graduates honoring outstanding career accomplishments in the field of education, which exemplify the spirit and philosophy of Bank Street College. According to Asia Johnson, a 2024 BSCAA Award recipient, Dr. Karen Baptiste exemplifies the values and mission of Bank Street College through her profound dedication to education and her commitment to improving both individual learning and community development, Her research and practical work have shown that she believes in education as a tool for social betterment, aligning with the principle that education can build a better society. Her work focuses on highlighting the systemic issues within the U.S. public education system, particularly the preschool to prison pipeline, which describes how zero-tolerance policies are used to justify the suspension and arrest that set up a pathway to send children of color and children with special needs from school to prison. Her advocacy encompasses education reform, juvenile justice reform, and leadership development, with a commitment to improving equity and access to resources in marginalized communities. She has also served on national educational policy committees, providing expertise to shape legislative approaches to education improvement. As the founder and CEO of Preschool to Prison Consultancy, Dr. Baptiste currently coaches senior leaders and educators to cultivate stronger, more inclusive school cultures by identifying and dismantling oppressive systems and practices. Recently, Dr. Baptiste directed and produced the documentary Preschool to Prison that exposes the negative impact of the preschool to prison pipeline. This award-winning film is now available to stream on Amazon Prime. Dr. Johnson observes that it has become a vital advocacy tool that has sparked critical discussions and policy shifts aimed at dismantling discriminatory practices in education. From Dr. Johnson, throughout her career, Dr. Baptiste has combined strategic thinking and a deep commitment to social justice. She embodies the belief that education can be a transformative force for good, empowering individuals and fostering societal growth. By addressing systemic challenges, advocating for underrepresented groups, and inspiring new generations of leaders, Dr. Baptiste's work reflects the spirit of Bank Street College and its mission to improve education and build stronger communities. Please join me in congratulating Dr. K. Wow, thank you. Asia, you made me sound really amazing. Like, I'm gonna ask you to write some speeches for me. Oh, thank you. This is so amazing. And I just have to start by saying, God, you promised to bless those who remain faithful to you in trials. Thank you for seeing my pain and hardship and not allowing it to go unnoticed. Thank you for promising to reward my perseverance one day. When I face hard times, help me to grow into the person you have called me to be. In Jesus' name. Ooh, amen. Good evening. I had to give thanks first. Yeah, I didn't think that was going to happen. But thank you so much for that, Misha. Receiving this honor from Bank Street is incredibly humbling. As a proud graduate of the class of 2012, cohort 26, yes, there's only 9 of us. It feels both nostalgic and affirming to be standing here before you tonight. When I first arrived to Bank Street, I was full of questions. Questions about leadership, about justice, about where I belonged in spaces that wasn't designed for voices like mine. But this community gave me the space not only to ask those questions, but to grow strong enough to answer them and live them out in the world fully. The lessons I learned here went beyond the syllabus. I learned what it means to lead with conviction and gravitas, to sit in discomfort and to use my voice, not just to speak, but to shift disempowering mindsets and dismantle oppressive systems such as the preschool to prison pipeline. Thank you. Since graduating, I've had the privilege of walking alongside leaders across sectors, across 33 states and 5 continents, helping them to reimagine, reframe, and rebuild what's possible when we center humanity, equity, and joy in our work. Those seeds were always planted in me, but it wasn't until I got here at Bank Street that it blossomed. With breakthroughs and the courage to dream bigger than the blueprint. To the current students and future leaders in this room, especially to my 12-year-old niece, Haley, my nugget, know that the work you're doing now, the questions you're daring to ask, matter more than you may realize. You are not just preparing for leadership, you are shaping the world. I leave you with the question that continues to guide me. What are you willing to risk to interrupt systems that were never designed with all of us in mind? I want to thank my mom and the rest of my family for always being my bedrock and giving me unconditional love. I want to thank Dr. Asia Johnson for nominating me. She was the recipient of this award last year. Great leaders always recognize other great leaders. And I also want to thank Bank Street for this recognition and giving me this opportunity. Thank you all. Have a wonderful evening.
Good evening. My name is Amber Cartwright, and I graduated from Bank Street in 2009 and again in 2020. I serve as a representative at large on the BSCAA Advisory Board, and I am honored to present this evening's next BSCAA Recognition Award. The mission of this recipient is to ensure that every child is healthy and able to thrive no matter their zip code. 1974 alum and former BSCAA Award recipient Ursula Davis says he demonstrates the transformative power of education when it is rooted in equity, compassion, and commitment to systemic change. Jacob Dixon is an educator, community activist, entrepreneur, nonprofit leader, child advocate, and professor. As an undergraduate, he was the first African American to serve as a CEO of a national chair that student-run nonprofit National Association College and University Resident Hall, Inc. He expanded membership globally and designed a grant fund that impacted 1 million students. A Teach for America alum, Jacob was a special education teacher in Washington Heights, and now he is the founder and CEO of the nonprofit Choice for All. Jacob tackles challenges related to education, health, and community development for Long Island children and families impacted by marginalization, racial isolation, and resource inequities. What began over a decade ago as a single program advocating for parents of children with disabilities has now grown into a multifaceted nonprofit with over 20 programs, now serves more than 500 children and families across zip codes. By collaborating directly with teachers, school districts, and early childhood centers, the organization addresses issues such as family engagement, anti-bias education, equitable school practices, and out-of-school learning. Choice for All launched the Youth Farmers Market to address food insecurity by providing fresh produce while also giving participants entrepreneurial experience. The organization's Senior Restaurant Resiliency Program also connects youth with displaced seniors to foster intergenerational connections and a sense of community service. Jacob is finalizing the development of the Hagthorn Hub, a state-of-the-art multipurpose community center in Freeport that will serve as a Choice for All headquarters in Long Island. Jacob is an adjunct professor here at Bank Street, challenging future educators to think critically and examine the education that can bring systematic change and inspire societal transformation. Additional accolades include 2019 Culture of Health Leaders with Robert Wood Johnson Foundation, 2013 Engineer Fellow with the Academic for Regional State Stewardship at Molloy College, and 2024 Blank Slate Media 40 Under 40. Please welcome Jacob Dixon.
Oh boy. Good evening, everybody. We could do better than that. This is a beautiful night. Good evening, everyone. There we go. Wow, I first want to begin this moment with deep gratitude for the recognition, for the Bank Street community, and for the people who carried me here. To my parents, thank you for being my anchors and my North Star. And to my matriarchs who are here today, my cousin Mary Reed and cousin Daphne Somerville. They are the oldest members of my family. And they came all the way out from the East End, including being one of the founding members of one of the Long Island chapters of NAACP. So thank you for being here. Your strength and your presence, your faith in me are a gift that I carry into every space that I go into. And to my board, my staff, my Parent Action Coalition, hey y'all. Thank you for believing in me, for creating room for growth, reflection, and leadership. And she also, Ursula Davis, got an honorary doctorate here at Bank Street, so I'm gonna say Dr. Ursula Davis. Thank you for your mentorship, your leadership, and your friendship. Being nominated is one thing, but getting it from you, thank you. This award means more than what words can fully capture, because the truth is, my parents were told that I wasn't supposed to be here. When I was 8 years old, a psychologist told my parents that I would never be president of my class, let alone president of the United States. And as a Black and Latino boy with a learning disability from Long Island, I was often the only student of color in my classroom, 20 minutes away from home to another public school, as a result of the advocacy of my parents. I didn't know what the term education and equity meant, but I knew something was different. And what you see in that purple is actually my IEP, and circled is my mom's handwriting, where they originally classified me as mentally handicapped, and she crossed it out and put speech impairment. And that was the transformative moment right there. And I share that because years later, that fight alongside the wisdom and resilience of my parents led me here to Bank Street. And I didn't think I belonged here, but as a Teach for America alum going through St. John's, I went into the room that Bank Street was assigned to, and the admissions counselor shook my hand and said, "Welcome home." And that was the beginning of something transformational. And it was here in this class with what we now call Teaching Students with Disabilities with Dr. Pamela Jones that I began to unpack my own education journey. And I reflected deeply into ways that race, ability, and identity showed up in my school and how I was seen, where that class didn't just challenge me, it healed something in me. It reconnected me with the little boy that I once was and helped me reaffirm that that boy's story had value and power. And since then, I actually created in my integrated master's project a handbook for parents navigating the special education process, and that's what Amber was referring to as my first program that now expanded to 20. And then what I can only describe as a full circle moment, I was invited back here to Bank Street to interview with Dr. Valber and Jess Wonchowski to teach the very same class that I had it in there, and that helped shape me. So the course that once found my voice is now the course that I've been teaching now for the last 4 years, guiding others to discovering their own. So I don't just see that as poetic, but divine alignment. And in addition to serving as a mentor for students here and designing the first collegiate course around advocacy and wraparound planning, this journey has also helped me connect being the center director for the Long Island Regional Technical Assistance for Pre-K and Early Childhood Education. And that's this New York State's first technical assistance center exclusively for UPK expansion across Long Island, where right now we work with across 90 districts. So I say all this to say, this is the ripple effects of progressive education in action. This is the power of Bank Street, not just as a college, but as a home for transformation, because Bank Street gave me the language, it gave me the tools, and a radical permission to believe that my lived experience was not only valid, it was enough. And in turn, I tried to pass that affirmation on to others. Whether it's for families who've been dismissed, to children who have been underestimated, to fellow educators who are committed to justice, joy, and liberation. And in a time where so much of our world is uncertain, where equity and belonging are under attack, we need institutions like Bank Street more than ever. But we also need to ensure that others, especially those who've been told that they don't belong, have the same access I did, because I didn't think Bank Street was for me until I got an AmeriCorps grant through Teach for America. And that door opened up everything and gave me the platform to see myself there. So now as an alum, I am committed to giving back, not only financially, but through sweat, equity, and spirit, because I believe in this mission, I believe in the community, and I believe in our responsibility to carry this work forward with courage and conviction. So I end by saying that it is important that we have to continue making progressive education not only accessible, but responsive to the nuances of today's world. We can't hold back when times get tough, and we have to be intentional in how we show up, and even more intentional in how we bring others to the table, and if necessary, build our own tables. And that's what Bank Street taught me, and that's what we must continue to embody. So as Bank Street's philosophy teaches us to connect learning to the world needs us. So let's lead with empathy and not ego. Let's build bridges, not barriers. Let's hold the line for equity even when it shakes. Let's dream not just for our own children, but for all children. And let us be the light in classrooms, boardrooms, and community rooms alike. Let us rise in this moment together, because the time is now. Thank you so much.
That's tough to follow. Hi, my name is Vanessa Bangzer, a 2010 alum of the Leadership for Educational Change program, and I am a representative at large on the BSCAA Advisory Board. It is my absolute honor to present the next BSCAA Recognition Award to Lisa Galliano. Lisa was nominated by two former BSCAA Award recipients. Dr. Ursula Davis, class of 1974, recalls observing Lisa Galliano years ago when a small group of 4-year-olds eagerly showed her the city they had built from blocks. A vibrant world of roads, stores, a zoo, and homes complete with an igloo. Ursula says, in less than a week, these young architects had thoughtfully built an entirely new world, nurtured by a block room meticulously designed with intention and care by Lisa. Luisa Salado, who received a BSCAA award last year, says that after meeting Lisa, she soon realized that her passion was helping and leading children in their early years, focused on giving them an exceptional education full of experiences to help them for the rest of their lives. Lisa has been a paraprofessional, kindergarten teacher, pre-K site coordinator, and is now the assistant principal of 4 of District 2's 3K pre-K centers. Dr. Davis notes that at a time when many districts were eliminating blocks areas, Lisa refused to remove them from her own kindergarten classroom, recognizing their transformative impact on her students. As an administrator, she expanded upon that conviction, championing the creation of STEAM and block rooms to ensure all her 3K pre-K students had access to these experiences. Even when faced with pushback, limited space, and numerous constraints, Lisa moved mountains to make her vision a reality. These spaces have since become a blueprint for educators worldwide, with many traveling long distances to observe and learn how to design, facilitate STEAM and block areas that inspire exploration, foster inclusion, and ensure every child feels seen, respected, and empowered. Lisa continues to share her expertise through the development and facilitation of professional development workshops, including a block summit, which brought together educators from districts 2, 7, and 27 to collaborate and exchange best practices for using block play as a tool for child development. Her workshops help participants grasp the profound value of play-based learning. According to Dr. Davis, Lisa Galliano is an educator who doesn't just talk about change, she creates it. Her leadership is rooted in empathy, collaboration, and an unwavering commitment to doing what's best for her students. She is fully immersed in the daily life of her schools, whether hanging up children's artwork, documenting their thoughts, or kneeling at eye level to listen as they excitedly explain their creations. Lisa exemplifies how vital relationships are in building thriving school communities. You'll often find her greeting children and families in the morning, rolling up her sleeves to help teachers set up their classrooms, assisting with classroom activities, or simply sitting down to read one-on-one with a student. By blending vision with compassion, high standards with heartfelt care, and creative energy with unwavering dedication, Lisa Galliano isn't just shaping her schools, she's transforming lives. It is with so much pride, pleasure, and deep admiration that I present this award to Lisa Galliano.
Good evening, everyone. I am deeply honored and incredibly grateful to receive this recognition from the Bank Street College Alumni Association. To be acknowledged by an institution that has so profoundly shaped me as both an educator and a person. It's humbling and inspiring. Tonight, I want to honor the journey that brought me here. Growing up only 3 blocks from Bank Street on 109th Street in Morningside Heights, this was always part of my home. It's where I learned not only to teach, but how to lead with empathy, how to advocate for equity, and how to see every child as a whole. An individual brimming with potential, ideas, and creativity. But the most impactful and inspiring education I received came from a young immigrant from Nicaragua, a single mom who raised 3 daughters in a small apartment on the Upper West Side. She taught us by example the values of resilience, hard work, and the power of education. We didn't have much, but we had everything we needed. We had love, strength, and her unwavering belief in our future. She also gave us the invaluable skill of being bilingual, a gift that is too often undervalued and overlooked. When we were young, my mother felt our community school couldn't meet the needs of her daughters, so she made the necessary sacrifices to send us to Catholic school. And that's why, as an adult, I chose to work in public schools, because I believe that every child deserves a high-quality education. Bank Street gave me the tools to make that a reality. That belief shaped every step of my journey. From my early years as a paraprofessional at the Manhattan School for Children, to teaching kindergarten dual language at PS 163, to my work with pre-K and becoming a site coordinator at the District 2 pre-K centers, and now as an assistant principal. My heart has always been in early childhood education. These are the years where we lay the foundation, not just for learning, but for identity, for confidence, and for belonging. I believe deeply in creating classrooms where every child feels seen, valued, and heard, especially our multilingual learners and children from marginalized communities. A place where children have the opportunity to play, explore, learn. I believe in creating those programs so that children's imagination can soar as they make sense of the world around them. Working in one of the most vibrant and complex school systems in the world is challenging, to say the least, but is the most meaningful work I could ever imagine. Every day I have the privilege of supporting my teachers, my students, my families, many of whom face the same challenges my own family once did. One of the things closest to my heart has been my work with children, staff, and families around block building. Over the years, I've designed block rooms, helped teachers enhance their classroom block centers, and led hands-on workshops for staff and families. And I even formed a block committee to share best practices. This work has extended beyond our school and had the opportunity to share this work with other districts, and it's reaching and benefiting many children. I'd like to tell you a story about one of those children, a little boy named Afdal. There he is. He had recently come from Ghana, and when he entered the block room, he only tended to build alone. He was quiet, he was focused, but isolated, and he often built structures very carefully. But one day he noticed a photograph of an igloo on the wall. He had never seen snow before, and he was completely fascinated. That moment sparked something, and we started to research igloos together, and he began building his own version. Before long, 2 classmates joined him. They built together every day for a week. What started as parallel play grew into a rich collaborative experience. Afdal, a child with limited English and a few social interactions, at first became a leader in that space. His confidence grew, his voice emerged, and his classmates gained a newfound respect for him. That's the power of block building. It's not just about construction. It's about connection. It's about creativity, and it's about discovery. I also had the privilege to work and support a STEAM room in our 3 and 4-year-olds. For 3 or 4-year-olds, a space where curiosity leads the way. If a picture is worth 1,000 words, then that one speaks volumes, because the joy on her face as she interacts with the wind tunnel captures the wonder of discovery. As educators, we plant the seeds we may never see bloom, but still we carry the hope and the responsibility of making sure that every child from every background knows that they matter. To my fellow Bank Street alumni, colleagues, mentors, thank you for this incredible honor. Thank you for guiding me and supporting the work we do. To my colleague, Louisa, thank you for those late night conversations about blocks and everything else. To my senior leadership team, Superintendent Kelly and Superintendents Dr. Reggie Higgins and Kelly Shannon, thank you for your constant support. Principal Lindsay Jacobs, I'm grateful for being a part of the West 57th Street community. Principal Carlin, our collaboration with District 7 has truly been inspiring. And Principal Angela Rodriguez. Angela, we started out as site coordinators, and now your mentorship has shaped my journey. Your guidance and foundation for the leader I've become. Thank you for everything and walking alongside me. To my friends and teachers here tonight, you are the ones who have taught me the most, and I am forever grateful for your love and presence. I'm also grateful to the educators who have gone before me here at Bank Street. Many people strongly told me to go to other colleges, but I knew in my heart that Bank Street, their philosophy was aligned with mine, and I knew that they believed how I believed, that I felt children learn best. It is a decision I never regretted. Not only was the learning and guidance invaluable, but it also gifted me something else. Dr. Ursula Davis. This moment would not have happened without you. Thank you for seeing something in me that I sometimes forget to see in myself. Your belief, your mentorship, and your wisdom have shaped my leadership in ways I'll never forget. You lead with such integrity and generosity. So thank you, Ursula, for being one of the only people who will listen to me talk about blocks 2 all hours of the night, all the time. And then to my most precious building block in life, the foundation of my education long before I ever stepped into a classroom. To my mom, my first and most important teacher. Muchas gracias, Mama. For your love, for your strength, and for always showing me what it means to lead with my heart. Everything I am is grounded in the lessons you taught me, with your patience, with a quiet strength, and a fierce devotion. To my sisters, Christina and Jennifer, thank you for always letting me be the teacher when we played school. It's funny how the tables turn, because now you try to tell me what to do. But truly, your humor, your love, and your belief in me keep me grounded and laughing every single day. I'll close with a quote that captures the essence of our work as educators by Lisa Delpit. When we make the effort to truly see children, we begin to understand how to teach them. Thank you all for the bottom of my heart.
Wow, this is such an inspiring evening. And to come after a long day of school, I am so charged to go in tomorrow. And the theme of really seeing children, it's going to keep going as I introduce our next award recipient. So my name is Erica Davis. I am a 2011 alum of the Principals Institute, and I am currently the Vice President of the Bank Street College Alumni Association. It is my honor to present the next BSCAA recognition award this evening to Kristen Kalin. She is certainly an educator that understands what it means to listen to children. Kristen was nominated by Jessie Lumsden, a 2003 alum, who said, "Kristen was my child's fourth grade teacher, and her classroom is the most special I've ever felt and seen. As a fellow progressive educator, I recognize Kristen's talent that sets her craft at the top of her field. The excellence of her teaching and the depth of the relationships she builds is a gift." In building her fourth grade curriculum, Kristen continuously studies the indigenous people of New York City and the early colony of New Amsterdam. She coordinates with indigenous cultural advisors who deepen her students' learning through experiences. Her fourth graders build a life-size wigwam, create authentic burnout bowls, and learn the art of archery. Jessie Lumsden recalls that Kristen's curriculum begins with a frank look at the American Thanksgiving story, helping students uncover the facts and construct their own fuller meaning of this very complicated moment in early American history. Kristen also connects to students' lives. As fourth graders weave using traditional Lenape methods, she asks them to design a piece that represents a unique belief they hold. Her classroom features a collage of her students' family photos, and she regularly invites parents and caregivers to lead small group sessions. Kristen communicates closely with families, sharing daily photos and videos of the work and learning happening at school. A national presenter for responsive classrooms, Kristen leads workshops for schools around the country. She's also an adjunct professor at Bank Street College and continuously welcomes student teachers from across the state into her classroom, helping other educators continue their own learning journey. According to parents of her former students, she loves all of her students as if they were her own. Kristen is able to individualize instruction, which makes students feel special. You can feel the love and safety she provides. Despite having some 24 other children, Kristen seems to know exactly what is going on with my child. One family whose child received a safety transfer at the end of third grade shared that fourth grade with Kristen was healing and transformative. My child felt safe, comfortable, and at home. Another parent whose child struggled with anxiety, that year with Kristen fundamentally changed the very way our daughter thought about herself and the way that she now inherently thinks about herself. She'll rely on the strength that Kristen gave her for a lifetime. And former students, it just keeps going. Former students say, "She took the time to understand who I am." Another student says, "Her patience and love for teaching made me feel like I could do anything in the world." I mean, amazing. Another student, "I looked forward to Mondays and was sad on Fridays." Now, how many of us are sad on Sundays? Yeah. Okay, thinking about Monday. No, this child couldn't wait for Monday. Something about how she taught writing helped my brain go pop, and my writing took off. And another student, "Kristen always told me that I was easy to love." When I heard some of you talk about unconditional love, it comes through in the voices of Kristen students. To Jessie Lumsden, this is what Jessie says: "Kristen's knowledge and understanding of the developmental needs of the children in her care is apparent at every turn. She empowers students to take deep ownership of their learning journeys." On behalf of BSCAA, I am thrilled to present this award to Kristen Kalin.
To hear the voices of your students. It's really special. I always knew I wanted to be a teacher since I was a little kid. And I went to college knowing I wanted to study education. And as a white, middle-class, cisgender girl, schools were safe places for me. I felt safe in school. I felt seen in schools. And so when I went to college to study teaching, at 19, I made an appointment with one of my professors in a complete panic. I had just finished reading Jonathan Kozol's Savage Inequalities, and it had rocked my world. What was the point of being a teacher if you can't change an innately messed up and inequitable system? And this professor told me that she believed in me and to not give up, and she believed in the classroom that I would eventually create. She said she saw it as my little 19-year-old self sitting across from her during her office hours. She said she could see a space where my students were deeply engaged in learning and happy. And I remember this quote so deeply. She said, "I can see a classroom in which everything has a place, and yet everything is movable." And I loved that, and I wanted that. And she said, "You should go to Bank Street." And at that point, I had no idea what Bank Street was. I was like, is this a road? Is this an institution? What is this? And I held on to the name, and I held on to her adamant recommendation. And 5 years later, I applied to Bank Street, and it was the best decision I've made in my career as an educator so far. At Bank Street for 3 years, I was surrounded by deep thinkers with different perspectives who expanded my understanding of progressive education. I was encouraged to imagine education as an act of liberation. The panicked 19-year-old finally had clear ideas of how to navigate an innately corrupt and racist system by following the lead of children while cultivating critical thinkers within a close, caring community. That 19-year-old idealist undergrad had evolved into a self-aware, proud, queer educator, not afraid to push back against expectations that limited her students' empowerment. This is my 20th year of teaching. I've taught 495 students. I counted them. It was like the first class was 27, the second class, so I counted them, 495. And that doesn't include those families that are connected to those children, because that, I believe, that's not just the community of the students in my classroom, but also the families they're connected to. So my first pupil, however, was my little sister, Lauren. When I was 9, she's up there. When I was 9, I removed all the clothes and the shoes from my bedroom closet, and I created my first classroom. I would ring a bell, and my little sister Lauren would know that it was time to start Big Sister School. I want to thank her for being my first student when I still had so much to learn. I want to thank my parents, who are both retired educators. They modeled for me from a young age what a dedicated and hardworking and joyful experience it is to be a teacher. I want to thank my current beautiful, beautiful school, BNS. I am so lucky to teach at a school that strives every day to be the best place it can be for children, who trust teachers and lets them respond to the needs of students, first and foremost, rather than the needs of admin or red tape. Finally, I want to thank my partner, Erin. We've been together for half of my teaching career so far. Next Friday is 10 years, yeah. I wake up every morning excited to do my job, but my life outside of work is rich and fulfilling and joyful because of her. Thank you, Bank Street, for staying committed to progressive education in the face of attacks against DEI and culturally responsive pedagogy. Some call that radical. I call it right. Let's keep up the good fight.
I want to say it's so great also to see such a full house today and for all of our honorees. So thanks everybody for coming. I'll move it up. My name is Dana Wheeler, a 2009 alum of Childhood General Education Program, and I serve as the representative at large on the BSCAA Advisory Board. I'm here to present the BSCAA Distinguished Service Award. This award is presented annually to one or more Bank Street graduates, honoring years of service to the college and its alumni, and demonstrated dedication and commitment to furthering the beliefs and practices of Bank Street College. With 2 Bank Street degrees, an early career spent as an early childhood special education teacher at the Bank Street Family Center, and a current position at the Bank Street Education Center, the recipient of this year's Distinguished Service Award has dedicated her professional life to the college. She's also a former School for Children parent. Tarima Levine has worked as an early childhood specialist and director, family engagement consultant, graduate school instructor, and strategic systems leader. She has developed and facilitated professional learning experiences across the United States and abroad. In her current role as the Managing Director of Content Design and Strategy at the Bank Street Education Center, she develops and scales high-quality adult learning agendas to address complex instructional challenges and support equitable student learning outcomes. The Bank Street Education Center disrupts inequity through system-level change to help design better educational experiences for children and adults. They work with teachers, families, policymakers, and other partners to support strength-based, learner-centered, and equitable educational practices that help students and educators thrive. Tarima ensures that the design and strategy align with the Bank Street approach and are designed to improve district-wide systems and instructional practices. She is responsible for content, including continuous improvement processes, culturally responsive practice, equity-oriented systems and instruction, and high-quality, developmentally meaningful practice. It's a lot. It's a lot. According to Tracy Frey Oliver, Vice President of the Bank Street Education Center, Tarima's leadership, deep understanding, and commitment to the Bank Street approach has shaped the work of the Education Center and has helped to build the capacity of staff and leaders within the division. She ensures that the learning experiences embody the principles of adult learning and development. Tarima serves as a model for lifelong learning, reflective practice, and commitment to equity within the institution, and works to support these dispositions in others. In August 2022, Tarima contributed to the Bank Street faculty and staff paper, A Framework for Coaching in Early Childhood Settings, drawing on Bank Street College of Education Developmental Interaction Approach, DIA. In 2023, she co-authored Thinking Routines Help Educators Develop an Equity Lens, which was featured in The Learning Professional. And this spring, she collaborated on Understanding and Supporting Children's Behavior Through a Sensory Lit Processing Lens, which was published in Young Children. Tracy Frey Oliver says, Tarima, a proud and longtime member of the Bank Street community, who is always looking for ways to expand the college's reach and impact, whether it's by taking coursework, designing new partnerships, informing content and strategy, codifying and socializing our approaches for the field, or supporting internal initiatives. Congratulations, Tarima. It's an honor to recognize your contributions this evening.
Good evening, everyone. You know, my last name is L, and usually that means I get to go in the middle. So I was like, how did this all work out? Thank you for your opening remarks, Shale, and welcome, Suzette. Thank you, Margaret. Congratulations to all the awardees. I am digesting the powerful stories that you shared. So thank you so much for sharing that with the community. Thank you to the Bank Street College Alumni Association and Tracy Frey Oliver for nominating me for this Distinguished Service Award. I consider myself having a sixth sense, and she kept it under wraps. And of course, to my wonderful family, who's my rock. This recognition isn't only about me and my experience at Bank Street. It's about all the people, relationships, interactions, and circumstances that have deeply influenced my learning journey, as well as the children, adults, and communities I've been so fortunate to serve and engage in transformational systems change work. It wouldn't be Bank Street if I didn't start by reflecting on myself and sharing with you a short glimpse of who I am and how it has shaped how I show up in this world. I am a biracial Black woman raised in Oakland, California. And growing up, we had one bumper sticker on the back of our blue Honda Accord that both humiliated and intrigued me. It read, "Question authority," in loud, bold, and all-cap lettering. My mother, an activist during the 60s at Berkeley, clearly wore her politics on our car. And at some point, likely when I was in upper elementary or middle school, I noticed the bumper sticker. And at this age, as our developmentalist would know, anything that stood out as different was humiliating. I mean, question authority, why not the more common love not war or save the whales, that would have been a little easier to bear. Nonetheless, I would repeatedly ask my mom what question authority meant. She would try to explain and would go on and on about the importance of being a critical thinker and not blindly following the crowd, the need to constantly consider the unspoken messages on television, radio, no internet or social media. She shared her belief that education wasn't designed for all, the hypocrisy of Americans' Puritan values, the history of systemic racism, et cetera, et cetera. And at the time, I didn't fully appreciate what she was sharing with me. In retrospect, my mother gave me 2 gifts. She set the foundation for me to become acutely aware of our society's racial and social inequities and modeled for me a deep value for critical reflection. These gifts helped to shape my purpose and journey as an educator. So with this background in mind, you might imagine that when I became a Bank Street graduate student for the first time and a teacher in the Family Center, Bank Street's values such as inquiry, reflection, social justice, service, and the developmental interaction approach felt familiar, like on a DNA level. Little did I know at the time that I would be connected with Bank Street for most of my adulthood as a staff member, graduate student twice, and a parent. Bank Street has been my work home for over 25 years. I'm like a mini OG. I have worked in 4 different divisions, doing 4 very different types of work, under 3 presidents, had the support of 7 supervisors, and likely supervise up to 50 staff members. So what has this looked like? As a special education teacher in the Family Center, my work journey included supporting young children with identifying learning needs to fully participate in classroom experiences. And later, as a leader, supporting SEAT teachers to be advocates for families as they navigate the Turning 5 process. In once was continuing education, my work journey included leading family engagement sessions in the South Bronx, Harlem, and the Lower East Side with immigrant families learning English. I participated in the New York State Even Start Early Literacy Board. Who remembers Even Start? And facilitated likely 100 professional learning sessions for early childhood teachers and leaders across the tri-state area and abroad. In my work journey in the once Division of Innovation Policy and Research, I co-led Bank Street's National Center on Cultural and Linguistic Responsiveness. I partnered with Office of Refugee Resettlement to co-create materials for Head Start communities. My most memorable experience was listening to and learning from the indigenous Mixtec migrant families from Mexico living in Southern California. Among many things, we co-created a children's book with the Mixtec community organization. It was so powerful to learn from the Migrant Head Start director that it was the first early childhood publication, like ever, where Mixtec families felt seen and affirmed and their language was documented. Currently, I'm a managing director in the Education Center, where I partner with school districts and organizations across the U.S. to address systemic inequities through strategic guidance, professional learning, and coaching. I love being a thought partner in this role and our partnership work, guiding others through deep and strategic listening and thinking, offering that critical friend perspective, championing others' growth and development, and asking fundamental questions that speak to the root cause of the inequities present in schooling. All while noticing that sweet spot, connecting with folks' strengths while expanding their thinking and stretching their practice. And of course, adding humor and laughter and plenty of snacks along the way. That said, we are in the midst of planning our 10th anniversary. Over the last 10 years, the Education Center staff have reached over 30,000 educators, 560,000 students, have engaged in 132 partnerships within 43 states and the District of Columbia. Bank Street's influence is remarkable. Throughout my time at Bank Street, I have brought my whole self to my work. My supervisors have provided me with a holding environment, if you may, a place where I'm able to think deeply, reflect on my intentions, demonstrate dispositions and approaches to adult growth and improvement, unpack what centering relationships look like, and learn the power of asking first before providing feedback. And they've allowed me to ask endless questions. Needless to say, I have not been alone in this work. I've had incredible Bank Street mentors and colleagues who modeled what it looks like to engage in a thoughtful and authentic teaching process, lead teams, support adult learning, facilitate difficult conversations within and outside the college, and hold true to the core values of anti-racism and justice. I won't be able to name them all. 25 years is a long time. But thank you to Adine Usher, Amy Flynn, Hal Melnick, Mimi Rosenberg, Buffy Smith, Virginia Casper, Fern Kahn, Nancy Sloan, Tracy Lee Lucas, Valentina Rapola, Faithland Parker, Jessica Blum Stefano, Mark Nagasawa, Davia Brown Franklin, Ursula Davis, Doug Connect, and Tracy Frey Oliver. Your reflectiveness and introspection, openness to possibility, collaborative spirit, investment in meaningful relationships, and humility are leadership qualities that inspire and ground me in my own leadership stance. Thank you for sharing your gifts with me, and in turn, the communities I serve. Thank you to the communities that have trusted my leadership and partnership to evolve their environments and practices that supports children's learning and growth, and for sharing your gifts with me along the way too. And I need all of these gifts now, more than ever, because these are trying times. We are fighting against fascism and racism, let me say all the isms, and it's creating censorship, ongoing fear, exhaustion, and disillusionment for educators and leaders. But my experience at Bank Street has prepared me never to give up. It has been the petri dish of aspiration and hope for a more just society. I continue to be inspired by the resilience of my colleagues and the communities we serve. Now more than ever, we need to focus on creating safe spaces for adults to reflect, heal, and grow, always with an eye toward designing equitable school systems and making a lasting impact. As I close, I want to return to that question authority bumper sticker I mentioned earlier. What once felt odd and embarrassing has become a lifelong guide, a call to question the status quo, to disrupt what is unjust, and to stand firm in our convictions. It's one of my earliest invitations to see the world critically and act courageously, an invitation that Bank Street deepened and affirmed in me. In that same spirit, I'd like to leave you with the words of Congressman John Lewis: never ever be afraid to make some noise and get in good trouble, necessary trouble. I'd like to invite you to never waver from your core, who you are and aspire to be, your purpose in the world, and the gifts you can share with children, families, colleagues, and communities. Thank you.
I was just sitting and thinking about how every year I come and I feel so inspired at Alumni Awards. But there's something particular about this year, it being a little bit more special because of the difficult time that we're having as a nation. And I'm especially nourished by what each and every awardee has put out into this space. And the gratitude is the word for me this evening. I invite you to think about what your word is. And maybe we could just give them one more round of applause for everything. I want to thank everybody for coming this evening, and we hope to see you all in the lobby for refreshments. Take care.